Hey everybody, here's a quick video to help you understand how to complete your Harmony 2 final project. So what you'll need is your previously completed melody composing with motives homework. So remember that looked like this. That, and you need the blank Harmony 2 final project template, which is made available to you on OL along with these instructions. You're going to use your melody composing homework as a resource to do the first part of your project, and then you're going to go through these various steps with video right now. When you're done, what you're going to hand in is the completed Finale template and your analysis of your project, which you can either try to do in Finale, or you can just handwrite it by printing it out and handwriting it in. You also have this grading sheet to help you check, like a checklist, to make sure you got everything in there that is required. There is an extra credit opportunity, which is that once you've completed it, you can more fully produce the audio by using GarageBand or Logic or some other program, maybe doing some live singing or playing. And that's totally encouraged and that's cool, but just note that you will not get extra credit unless your basic requirements have been met, i.e. that if the extra credit puts you over 100 points, then the extra points will be used at my discretion to shore up any weaker grade that you have and help you maybe add a few points to your final exam grade. So we have these two documents. We have our Finale template for the final project, and we have our previous homework assignment with our old motive in it, okay, and our manipulations. Okay, so here's my completed homework from this motive, and I'll just play it for you to remind you what it is. Sounds like. Okay, so just as a reminder, we took motive 0 in this case, and we manipulated it, an inversion, then we did a retrograde, and we were following a contour that was going up and then went down and then came back to here. And we adjusted when there was a chromatic chord, like a modal interchange chord, we made sure the notes fit that chord, and we avoided any harmonic void notes, which of course are notes which are a half step above a chord tone. So whenever we had a half step above a chord tone, it was just a very fleeting note that was on a weak part of the beat and was not emphasized. It was just sounds like a passing tone. So any of these long duration notes are all available tensions or chord tones. That's very important to remember. We also did a little additional manipulation, like right here we did interval expansion. So this note was originally down here and it was just an inversion of motive 0. But then we expanded the interval to make it wider. So you can do that. I could also contract an interval. And then here we changed the direction of one of the notes to create a stepwise approach to that note. This kind of thing is okay. You can do these additional manipulations as well in addition to this stuff. So this entire melody is created out of one motive with a few manipulations, right? And following a melodic contour. So what do we do next? Well, the first thing we do is using the filter, remember, is under Edit, but you can also get to it by the shortcut Command Option Shift F, and we only want to copy the notes and the chords, so we make sure that's the only thing that's copied. If everything is selected, just say None, and then choose Notes and Chords. Then we select all and we copy to our new document, and this becomes our A section. Now, but because we're adding, there's a few more requirements, as you'll see here. It says add a secondary dominant in either bar 2 or 4 or both, and make sure it resolves to its expected target. Here's bar 2, and here's bar 4. And somehow I lost this chord on the way over. This is an E minor chord. I'll bring that over in a second. I think I'm going to do measure 2. So I'm going to make this be, instead of a G chord, I'm going to turn it into a secondary dominant that will lead to A minor. So I ask myself, what is A minor in the key of C? Of course, the answer is 6. So I need 5, 7 of 6 here. So think about what that would be. So hopefully you quickly figured out that it's a E7 would go down a perfect fifth to A. or up a perfect fifth from the target is E7. Remember, that's the way to figure out a secondary dominant. If you know what the target is, just go up a perfect fifth and you will get, so up a perfect fifth from A minor is E, so that's going to be an E7 chord we need here to create 5/7 of 6. Now we need two things to create that. We need the chord tool, which is right under tools chord, and it's now enabled. It also looks like this on the main tool palette. It looks like a little C major 7 voicey symbol. I'm clicking on here. I'm going to change the existing chord to an E7, and then of course I need to change my notes and to an E7 spelled chord. And so I just changed my bass note, and I got my notes generally correct. I need an E, which I have there. I have a G, a B, and a D, but of course all secondary dominants require at least one accidental. I need my leading tone, right? Right now I have a G going to A in the chord. That's not a leading tone. A leading tone is a half step below the root of the target. So what's a half step below A? Right, G sharp. So the way I turn that G into a G sharp is I hit the plus button. Now I have it E7. Okay, I actually decided to do a little bit of a change there. I decided to put the G sharp right on beat 1 and change my motive shape a little bit. Again, that's okay. What we're doing is we're not doing a strict inversion or retrograde or anything. What we're doing is we're doing same rhythm, different notes. So that's the way we're connecting to this motive. So I like that better. So you have the freedom to mess around with it a little bit like that until you like the way it sounds. And I'm emphasizing my chromatic note in my chord, which really makes the secondary dominant have a lot of power. So that's great. Okay, now we're ready. We just completed part 2, second item. We added a secondary dominant to the A section. Now we're going to create a new motive. So the way we do that is we go to our old document, previous assignment, homework assignment, and right now it's filled with, you know, the notes from the previous motive. So now it's time for you to write a new motive. So I'm actually going to erase all of these, and the way we can, just so that I can use this as a way to work out my stuff. So I select it all. I'm in the selection tool here, and then you just control click and you say clear selected items. You say none, and then you just say notes, because that's all you want to clear. You don't want to clear any of the labeling or anything. So clear the labels, the notes, and now you start with a new motive. So you come up with a new motive, and then you start doing your manipulations. Okay, so I came up with this motive. I would do my thing of, you know, making sure the filter is on, and I would copy only the notes, and then I would copy it over to here, and then remember that the number 7, if you have your remember you have to have your simple entry shortcuts set up right. So you go to simple entry options, deselect those, edit keyboard shortcuts, and make sure you have the laptop shortcut table chosen here. If all that's set up, then you only have to use one keystroke. You go back to the selection tool by hitting escape, hit that, and then if you hit the number 7, everything goes up diatonically by one step, and that's created diatonic sequence 1. And then if I copy it again here from the original, I can hit 7 twice, and that's going to create diatonic sequence 2. And I create all my diatonic sequences. Then I create my inversion, and you guys should hopefully remember at this point what that is. That's the mirror image, and that's the inversion of that original idea. And then we would copy that over. The retrograde is the opposite, so that would start, that's like reading it from right to left, so the retrograde of my original idea, and then you can invert that, and that gives you a retrograde inversion. Okay, that combined with interval expansion and contraction and same notes, same rhythm, different notes, gives you a lot of options to create a second melody. So you come up with that, and now you start creating your second melody, at least get yourself started. You can erase all this and use this as your scratch pad if you want, or you can just go direct into this document. And you can have the same melodic contour or a new one. And once you've done all that, then you got to make sure that you have, in your new section, you have at least one secondary dominant, and I would encourage you to choose a different one this time. Maybe do one here. You can use almost all, you can use many of the same chords. but maybe just try something different, like have a different secondary dominant, maybe have a different modal interchange chord, something like that. And then, you know, like you had flat 6 major 7 here, what about maybe 4 minor this time or something different, you know? And then come over here and you'll be on, this time you'll have gotten to here, and then your final measure is for your intentional sounding ending, where you want to end on the 1 chord in a, you know, and make it sound like the song is actually over, not just cut off. So once you've done all that, and by the way, all these things I've just said are all really specifically labeled here, then you listen back to it. It should sound coherent. It should sound like it's a decent sounding song. Then you need to analyze it, and you can analyze it in Finale, but it's very complicated to do that, so I wouldn't recommend it unless you're really gung-ho to learn it. I'll just briefly mention how it's done, but again, I don't. So I'm almost done with the video. Now what I'm going to do is just quickly put together a B section based on my new motive, show you what that sounds like, and then we'll be all done. Okay, we're back. So here's a, you know, I took my motive, which here, and I manipulated it, and I came up with a B section, and I also put in the analysis. I'll show you that in a minute. So here's okay. Yours may sound very, very different. You could be in a different genre. It can be a rock tune, it can be a pop tune, whatever, jazz, whatever you want. But these principles will still apply. In terms of doing analysis in Finale, again, it's not required, but if you do, there are certain shortcuts that would help you. You go to the expression tool, which is that mezzo forte symbol, and I've set up the shortcuts so that if you hit the numbers, they will give you the diatonic chords. So if I want to do diatonic, you know, I want to do 6 minor 7, I just hit 6 and click, and the 6 minor 7 will show up. I want to do 3 minor 7, I just hold down 3 and click, and you get 3 minor 7. Then the next row below that, the letters below those numbers will give you the secondary dominants. So like here was 5 7 of 4. So I go to 4, and then I go to the next letter below that, which is R, hold that down, and I get 5 7 of 4. Hold down the letter A, click on that, and there's my arrow. So these are shortcuts you could use, or you can just double click and go looking for them in this arrangement here. Okay, and then the final thing, if you did this and you handed it in and then did your melodic analysis as well, you could potentially get an A. But if you want to help your grade or get some extra credit, then you could produce it. And one way to produce it, export the MIDI information from this track and into something like GarageBand. So I'll just quickly show you how to do that. You click on File, Export, MIDI file. You give it a name that helps you remember what it is. Say OK, click on that. Then you open up GarageBand, and then I find my MIDI track. I drag it in, and it automatically puts in the tracks. And you can probably tell the bass is an octave too low. So you just grab that, you go to the thing here, you just grab one of the notes, and you just do select all. And I just move up right now, that's a C1, I'm going to move it up to C2, and I'm going to be moving all of my notes up an octave now. And then you could add voice or guitar or whatever you want to that. So now you get the idea. So up to the level of the Finale file is the basic assignment, and extra credit would be to produce it more fully.